What we're doing, we're here in Prairie Creek, Redwood State Park at the Boys Orchard, right across from the Visitor Center in Elk Meadow. And we're working on the historic Boys Orchard. These trees are, the ones behind us are probably close to 100 years old at least, and haven't had any maintenance done to them for probably several decades. And some of the issues that we're addressing are just removing, right now we're just removing dead wood, trying to stabilize the trees so they don't get any worse. And then hopefully in the future we can come back and start reducing some of the height, reducing the trees down, so to minimize any potential real damage from bears and elk, and hopefully keep these trees around for maybe not another 100 years, but at least a few more decades. Well, bears love food and will do anything for food, and bears will easily climb these trees. And some of the things you can see is the big broken branches behind me. Those are most likely caused by bears getting out once the fruit is starting to get in season, which is about now. The bears will go out into these long limbs and those limbs will break off, and that damages the tree because it removes the leaves that it needs to take in energy, but it's also, you can see that it opens up these big scars into the trunk of the tree, and that's going to let it rot, and that's one more way for the tree to die. In fact, at some point you could get like about half a tree gone and a bear can just push them over. They're incredibly strong animals. The other thing that we have is elk here, and so the apple trees here are kind of pruned up. You see the leaves don't come very close to the ground because the elk will just browse and they'll eat anything that they can reach, and they're pretty tall animals. So, you know, we have the elk pruning the trees up and the bears breaking the branches down, so we have to kind of try and maintain a sweet spot in where these apple trees can live. Well, the significance of the varieties of these apples and how it relates to a lot of the modern varieties you're getting to now, one of the things we were just talking about was it was really a low point in the 1980s when about the only two apples you could get at a grocery store were Red Delicious and Golden. And from that point, people wanted more choices. There was demand for something different, and the only thing they could really do is go back to some of these heirloom varieties and start crossing to see which ones worked to get new varieties out. You know, there's always what apple growers are trying to find is a great tasting apple that you can ship from one end of the country to the next that lasts a long time, and that's really difficult. A lot of these heirloom varieties, some of them, like there's a Rhode Island Greenling was very popular at the time, great tasting apple, but it doesn't necessarily last a tremendous long time in storage. The Baldwin, which we have here too, was commercially a popular apple that lasted a long time, but it wasn't necessarily a great tasting apple. But so, you know, they're always trying to come up with the right mix, and so some of these heirloom varieties are what they harken back to try and figure out what the next greatest thing is.